Breakdown of the fifth tradition of alcoholics. Anonymous. Unique objective. Each group has a single primary objective: to carry the message to the alcoholic or sick person who is still suffering. The transmission of the message of Alcoholics Anonymous is vital both for the functioning of a group and likewise for the sobriety of the person who wishes to stop drinking, stop suffering, or stop using any drug. The transmission of the message of Alcoholics Anonymous equips each of us with the strength to face the onslaughts and problems we have in our daily lives, so as not to fall back into drinking and situations from the past that caused us many conflicts. This tradition mentions, "Shoemaker, to your shoes." It is better to do one thing perfectly well than many things poorly done. This means, in the context of our program, that we mention it many nights while reading our AA statement, that only we have a primary objective as a group, which is to transmit the message to that person who is suffering from this terrible disease. Life itself depends on the preservation of this principle. Alcoholics Anonymous can be compared to a group of doctors who have the possibility of finding a cure for cancer and whose concentrated efforts will depend on a remedy for those suffering from this disease. Of course, each of the doctors in this group may also be a specialist in another branch of medicine. From time to time, each of the doctors in question would prefer to dedicate themselves to their own specialty rather than work exclusively in the group. But once they have hit upon a cure for cancer, once it becomes clear that this can only become a reality if they agree to unite their efforts, then all of them will feel obliged to dedicate themselves exclusively to the relief of the victims of cancer. In the glow of such a miraculous discovery, any doctor would set aside their other ambitions, whatever personal sacrifice it may entail. However, we cannot be so selfish as to keep this precious gift that God has bestowed upon us as each person conceives it. Let us remember that this gift was not given to clinical people, professionals, doctors, psychiatrists, or psychologists. This gift has been granted to us, the sick, to be able to help another person based on our experience. We, the alcoholics, have found the key to sobriety, and refusing to transmit it is like a doctor who has found the cure for cancer refusing to help people. Wouldn't that be too selfish? Members of Alcoholics Anonymous, who have demonstrated they can help problem drinkers as others can rarely do, find themselves under the same obligation. The unique ability of each member of Alcoholics Anonymous to identify with the beginner and lead them to recovery does not depend at all on their culture or any other peculiarity. The only thing that matters is that the alcoholic who has found the key to sobriety is what they convey in their experience to identify with other people. These legacies of suffering and recovery are easily passed among alcoholics from one to another. This is our gift from God, and giving it to others like us is the only goal that today motivates alcoholics everywhere in the world. The paradox of this activity, as we mentioned earlier, is that we, the sick, must pass the message to maintain our sobriety. This means that we will not only abstain from drinking, as many confuse abstinence with sobriety. Sobriety is feeling good in all areas of our life, or rather, having a balance in the dislocation of natural instincts, which are the emotional instinct, the sexual instinct, the material instinct, and the social instinct. We have come to the conclusion that our groups have only that objective, and that if we deviate from this same goal, it is most likely that people will get hurt along this dangerous path. Sometimes, the pseudo-leaders of the groups begin to glimpse other types of objectives within the same group, such as taking the group simply as a social club, using the group to have romantic adventures among peers, or, in their case, having a certain economic benefit from the groups. That is why many companions with these types of characteristics are called parasites of Alcoholics Anonymous, since while they help people, they do so with a perverse purpose beneath the surface, beneath the mind, beneath the help, and it is not done innocently. It is there, then, where the spirituality of the program breaks down to highlight the wisdom of our only objective. A member tells the following story. Feeling restless one day, it seemed to me that it would be convenient to do a Step 12 work to have a kind of insurance against a relapse. But first, I would have to find a drunk to work with. I took the subway to the hospital, and there I asked the doctor if he had a possible candidate for me. "Nothing very promising," said the small doctor. "There is only one guy on the 3rd floor who might be a possibility, but he is a very tough Irishman. I have never seen anyone so stubborn. He insists loudly that if his partner treated him better, and if his wife left him alone, he would soon solve his problem with alcohol. He has suffered a severe attack of delirium tremens. His mind is quite clouded, and he distrusts everyone. It is not very encouraging, but working with him might be of some use to you, so why not give it a try?" Immediately, I found myself sitting next to a man without the slightest kindness. He stared at me with eyes that seemed like slits in his red and swollen face. I had no choice but to agree with the doctor's opinion. He certainly did not seem like a very promising case. Nevertheless, I told him my story. I explained how wonderful the community we had was, how well we understood each other. I insisted on the desperation of the drunkard's dilemma. I insisted that very few drunks could recover by their own strength, but that our groups could do together what we could not do separately. He interrupted me to mock that and told me that he could only manage with his wife, his partner, and his alcoholism. He asked me, in a sarcastic tone, "How much does all this cost?" I was very pleased to be able to tell him, "Not a cent." Then he asked me, "What do you get out of this?" Naturally, my answer was, "My own sobriety and a happy life." Still doubtful, he insisted, "Do you really mean to say that your only reason for being here is to try to help me and help yourself?" "Yes," I said, "that's all there is. There is no hidden agenda." Then, with some hesitation, I ventured to talk about the spiritual aspect of the program. The moment I had barely uttered the word spiritual, he jumped on me. "Now I get it. You are proselytizing for one of those religious sects. How dare you come here to talk to me about religion?" Thank God I thought of the appropriate response. I was firmly on the single objective of Alcoholics Anonymous. "Do you have faith?" I asked him. "Perhaps a faith deeper than mine. You certainly have better training in religious matters than I do, as I cannot tell you anything about religion, nor do I even want to try. Besides, I am sure you could define the word humility perfectly. But from what you have told me about yourself, your problems, and how you intend to solve them, I think I know what is wrong." "Very well," he said to me. "Tell me what you see." "Well," I said, "I think you are nothing more than a conceited Irishman who believes he is capable of running everything." This hit him hard, but as he calmed down, he began to listen while I tried to explain to him that humility was the main key to sobriety. Finally, he realized that I was not trying to change his religious opinions, that I wanted him to find in his own religion the grace that would help him recover. From then on, we started to get along very well. Imagine, says the veteran, what would have happened if I had been forced to talk to him about religious matters, or if I had had to tell him that a lot of money was needed, that Alcoholics Anonymous was involved in education, in hospitals, and in rehabilitation, or if I had offered to help him solve his domestic and business affairs. Where would we have gotten? Nowhere, of course. Years later, this tough Irishman likes to say, "My godfather sold me only one idea, sobriety, and at that moment I could not have bought anything else." Many of us have experienced the joy of seeing many of our peers recover from this disease, and the payment that many of us receive is not economic or material. It is something better. It is a spiritual payment. Sometimes there are members within the community who think that this passing of the message, or in other words, the service part in Alcoholics Anonymous, is something useless and simply a waste of time, that really the service is not needed as long as they are well. This selfish thought on the part of many peers is what causes many groups to remain in a spiritual death. A group without fifth tradition activities is a group where there is no life. It is a group where the struggle of egos prevails. The tasks that must be carried out are totally suggested. However, this tradition gives us the guideline to continue working with others. Let us remember that the services we have today, such as the permanent committees within a conference, such as the Literature Committee, Public Information Committee, cooperation with the Professional Community Committee, the Hospital and Prison Institutions Committee, among others, have this sole objective: to carry the message where it is not. No one who remains in the Alcoholics Anonymous community can miss this magnificent experience and the dividends that spiritually leave us, the activities of transmitting the message. The program suggests it at all times for the recovery of the person who wishes to stop drinking, and even more, who wishes to stop suffering. Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey toward recovery. If you have found value in our content and would like to continue exploring topics related to Alcoholics Anonymous and personal transformation, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications to receive alerts for our new videos. Together, we can build a community of support and hope. Until next time, and take care.